Welcome to this episode of RTO Insights, brought to you by APRO, the Association of Progressive Rental Organizations, the National Trade Association for the Rent-to-Own Industry, and sponsored by Rent Direct, a division of Nationwide, the country's largest retail buying group. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about rent-to-own products. In my view, they're not the mainstay of the business, but they're still very important. The fact that the industry offers name brand products is what drives first-time customers through the door. It is, of course, the stellar customer service that rent-to-own offers that keeps customers on the books, and that service has got to be experienced. You can't really just advertise it. You can't say, we offer great service, people aren't going to believe you, but if you give them great service, they'll be back. Product mix in the industry is very important. You've got to match your inventory with your customer base. You got to be good at matching colors, styles, fabrics with your market. In this industry, our customers tend to be get it now sort of customers, and if they can't see it and feel it and sit on it and lie on it and turn the knobs, they're not going to want to rent it. There's been some progress made with catalogs and with on-screen ordering, but still customers like to feel the thing that you're going to deliver to them that afternoon. That's how the business works best. That you are able to divine and acquire exactly what your customers want is part of the convenience and service aspect of the business that so many customers value. However, having said that, you can't rent everything. The general rule is that if a customer cannot give back the product in more or less the condition that he got it in, it is not a product that fits the rent-to-own concept. You can sell it if you want to, but you can't rent it. At best, for those categories of products, you could only pretend to be renting it. And there's a name for pretending to be in the rental business. It's called disguised credit sales. I don't want you to go there. Recently in the news out of Kansas City, there was a report about a pet store renting to own puppies. A customer went in and bought a $2,000, one might suppose AKC registered Pomeranian puppy. A week or two later, he went back to get a companion for his puppy. He did not have the cash or credit to buy the Pomeranian, the second one, and they put him on a rent-to-own contract. He didn't pay much attention to what he signed, and when he got home, he saw that that dog was going to cost him $4,500, and he was outraged. So he went back to the pet store to get some relief. They gave him none. He went to the 6 o'clock news, and they ran a bad story about rip-off pricing in the rent-to-own industry. Now, that's a fairly close question about renting puppies. You can, of course, give them back. They might be dogs, but you could, in theory, give back a puppy, and so it probably is fairly a rent-to-own product. Of course, the puppy might have puppies. I'm not sure what happens to those puppies if you want to terminate your agreement. So there are a lot of unanswered questions about pets, and I would be careful with that genre of product. It is, of course, my mission in life to keep you off the 6 o'clock news unless you're buying advertising, and so therefore my cautionary tale. Other dealers over time have asked about these kinds of products. Perfume, they want to do rent-to-own perfume. I said no. There's a retailer out there who offers high-dollar shampoo and conditioner for $100 a bottle. I find that staggering. Prel costs $3. My guy wanted to put shampoo on a rent-to-own agreement, and I said no. There was another guy who wanted to rent firewood one winter. I said no. Wheel alignments, no. Dental implants. There's a dentist in Atlanta doing a rent-to-own dental implants. How are you going to give that back, one wonders, when it's wired into your jaw? No, you can't do rent-to-own dental implants. Other dealers want to rent ATV vehicles. They're fine. Dealers want to rent wood chippers. I have no problem with that. Dealers want to rent guns. I got no problem with that, although be careful when repossessing a gun. Ask for the handle back first. In the portable building world, playscapes are okay, decks are not. A whole other category of goods that don't fit the rent-to-own product profile are fixtures. There are three kinds of property in the world. There's personal property, those are the goods, things you can touch and feel. There's real estate, stuff that's permanently affixed to the land, and there's intellectual property, copyrights and patents. And while you can rent certain categories of personal property and certain ones you can't rent to own fixtures because they are by definition permanently affixed to the land. Think about roofing shingles. You can go to Home Depot and buy a box of shingles. That's personal property. But once they are hammered into, nailed into the roof, they become part of the house. They are fixtures and you can't rent own them. I have had dealers call me about HVAC units, solar panels, ceiling fans, built-in appliances, hardwood flooring, wall-to-wall carpeting. Sometimes, depending on how the state law reads, those might become fixtures once they're installed. They might remain personal property. We have a lot of questions unanswered about those kinds of products. My advice to you is to be careful with them. You don't want to be the defendant in the lawsuit that tries to prove that wall-to-wall carpeting is really personal property. So in summary, you can't rent everything. Don't try. If you match your inventory carefully to your customers, you'll be on your way to greatness. I'm Ed Wynn III, APRO General Counsel. Remember, treat your customers like royalty. They deserve it.